The impact of federal spending and stimulus on Biden's economy. A case for negative growth. The U.S. economy under President Joe Biden has sparked heated debates, particularly about the role of federal spending and stimulus measures in its recent performance. While the Biden administration argues that its policies have facilitated economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, critics assert that without substantial government intervention, the economy might have faced negative growth. We explore what would happen to the economy if federal spending and stimulus efforts were removed from the equation. A key component of Biden's economic plan was aggressive government spending to stimulate recovery and maintain growth. This includes the American Rescue Plan, which pumped trillions of dollars into the economy through direct payments to individuals, extended unemployment benefits, and business support. In addition, Biden's administration has promoted infrastructure investments and initiatives in green energy. This federal spending has unquestionably been vital in supporting household incomes, reducing poverty, and increasing consumer demand. However, questions remain about the long-term sustainability of this growth and the actual health of the economy. What would happen if these government interventions were stripped away? Many analysts believe the result would be negative growth, as the economy would be unable to sustain itself without the crucial support of federal spending. At the core of the post-pandemic recovery has been federal spending. According to a 2021 report by the Congressional Budget Office, the American Rescue Plan alone was expected to add more than $1.9 trillion to the national debt, while temporarily boosting GDP by approximately 4.5%. This growth was largely driven by cash injections that stimulated consumer spending, supported businesses, and helped maintain employment levels during economic turbulence. Beyond stimulus checks, extended unemployment benefits provided vital relief to millions of Americans, especially those in industries hardest hit by the pandemic, such as hospitality, retail, and entertainment. These benefits enabled individuals to continue spending, which helped businesses stay afloat and prevented the economy from plunging further into recession. Without these federal lifelines, it is likely that GDP would have contracted instead of growing, even modestly. When isolating federal spending from the economy, it becomes clear that private sector growth has struggled to match the pace of government intervention. In many cases, federal spending has masked the struggles of sectors that would have otherwise experienced negative growth. Without federal support, key industries would have been forced to scale back or shut down completely, leading to widespread unemployment and reduced consumer spending. For example, businesses that remained operational during the pandemic largely relied on federal subsidies and relief programs to survive. Without these programs, many small businesses would have been unable to cover operational expenses, causing closures, job losses, and an economic slowdown. Industries like tourism, entertainment, and service sectors were particularly reliant on this aid, with their recovery driven largely by government support. Additionally, the broader private sector has faced challenges such as supply chain disruptions, rising labor costs, and inflationary pressures. Federal spending, especially the expansion of unemployment benefits, helped maintain sufficient consumer demand to prevent these challenges from causing a deeper recession. In this sense, the federal government became a stabilizing force during an economic crisis. While federal spending and stimulus have played a crucial role in short-term economic growth, they carry significant long-term risks. A major concern is inflation. The influx of federal money into the economy has increased demand for goods and services, which, when coupled with ongoing supply chain disruptions, has contributed to rising prices. This inflationary pressure has eroded purchasing power and added uncertainty to the economic landscape. Another concern is the growing national debt. The government's stimulus and spending measures have added trillions to the national deficit, potentially compromising the country's fiscal stability. While borrowing can be justified during economic crises, The long-term sustainability of this debt becomes problematic if the economy fails to generate enough growth to manage the rising costs of servicing it. If all federal spending and stimulus measures were removed from the equation, the immediate effects would likely be severe. Increased unemployment, declining consumer confidence, business closures, stagnation in key sectors, and negative GDP growth. Federal spending and stimulus measures have been pivotal in averting an economic collapse and supporting the post-pandemic recovery. However, these interventions come at a cost. Without them, it is highly probable that the U.S. economy would face negative growth with rising unemployment, declining consumer demand, and widespread business failures. While the long-term effects of this level of spending are yet to be determined, it's clear that the Biden administration's economic strategy has relied heavily on government intervention. Moving forward, the real challenge will be balancing economic growth with the risks posed by such substantial federal spending. The expansion of government employment also carries significant consequences for the economy. Let's examine the potential effects of mass government hiring on government spending, the private sector, productivity, and the labor market. Positive effects: improved public services, reduction in unemployment, economic stabilization, stimulating local economies. Negative effects: increased government spending, potential inefficiency, crowding out private sector jobs, inflationary pressures, long-term fiscal strain. If we consider an economy without federal spending, we would almost certainly see negative growth. Federal spending accounts for a significant portion of GDP, about 20 to 25%. So removing it would immediately shrink the economy by that amount. The multiplier effect could exacerbate this, leading to a contraction of 10% or more. Reintroducing mass government hiring would help mitigate this, but the scale of hiring would be too small to offset the massive loss of federal spending. For example, hiring 1 million workers at $80,000 each would add $80 billion to GDP, a small fraction of the $6 trillion in spending removed. This could soften the economic blow slightly, but it would not prevent a negative growth outcome. In the end, while government hiring could provide temporary relief, it cannot compensate for the void left by the removal of federal spending. Negative growth would remain the likely outcome, although the contraction might be slightly less severe with mass hiring.